I mean, saying, "Are we ready?" as if like this is like something we plan and actually like structured.
A bunch of guys
we map it out.
But what did Phil? What do you said you're smoking that Gurkha?
Yes, I am smoking the aged 18 years Cellar Reserve.
Ooh. See, those are good. I like the Maduro, that Black Label one that I've been smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good.
What are you smoking?
You can't find those airbenders anywhere. Any of the LFD stuff, none of the shops around me carries. So all those Recs you were giving me are tough to find.
I can see that.
Are you playing with colors, or am I having a seizure?
What?
Say what?
Are you playing with the colors, or am I like having?
I am playing with the colors.
Oh, Jesus!
I apologize. Sorry.
I started seeing like the names change. I was like, "Whoa, whoa!" I haven't even smoked anything yet. Oh man! So this is episode 46.
This is episode 46.
This is 46. You want to introduce our guest?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, like you're smoking the Gurkha. You said you have a Charter Oak. Is that what I saw?
I brought out a Charter Oak. I actually have really been liking these New Worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them a lot actually.
And then I have a Cohiba Blue Label that I started and thought I could smoke quickly, so I could actually start smoking what I intended to smoke this episode, which I probably will. I'm going to power through this, and then I'll light up this Sin Compromiso from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust.
Nice.
This is episode 46, but Phil, we got a sponsor now, buddy.
We do. We have a fantastic sponsor. We would like to personally. What?
If you look down in this corner of your screen, my finger doesn't go all the way there.
Screen.
Puget Sound Pythons.
That's pretty cool.
Mr. Jeff Obst. Kendra West. The power couple of her pedigree.
Legit. The Liasis couple of the West.
I'm posting. It's going to post all 4 places. Awesome. Well, there's a link to their page, so follow them. They're very good people. They actually started. They have a YouTube channel. They've had a YouTube channel, but they've been cranking out videos pretty regularly lately. So some really cool stuff on there. They had an episode recently with the Herpetoculture magazine shirt, which I thought was pretty cool. So you're already on YouTube, at least most of you are. So go check it out. Follow them, subscribe to them on YouTube. They're breeding ball pythons, which is cool. But they also have like Dunn's pythons and Dumerals and
the Alberts.
Yeah,
amazing.
Green anacondas, which I thought is pretty sweet because not everyone has those.
Just good people with good animals. Just awesome possum.
Yes.
And we thank them. We commend them for their sponsorship.
What are you drinking? What is that?
What?
What are you drinking?
Oh, it's a energy coffee in a can. It's horrible.
Oh.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Why don't you just drink Bangs and give yourself testicular cancer like me?
Dude, those are brutal.
Matt, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking buds.
He's a bug guy, man.
Oh, look at that. Guy.
Yes, sir.
Red-blooded American.
That's it. That's it.
The Canucks have joined us.
Ooh, welcome. My second
frosty white.
And then, whatever that slight against God that they call bacon is.
Look, man. Panty bacon is awfully yummy, but it's not bacon.
It is awfully yummy. That's true.
It's ham, bro. It's ham.
Hockey, beer,
nothing more, nothing less.
Dude,
I mean, those are everything with their bacon is solid.
I'm a huge fan of the great country of Canada, the Great White North. I'm a huge fan of their people. I just get a little perturbed when all of a sudden, come January in South Florida, I see a lot of Quebec plates, and it makes my drive to work very uneasy.
Arizona's got it too.
But I commend them for everything they do. I mean, shit, they gave us Trailer Park Boys.
They're just the Ohioans of North America.
And Letterkenny, if you guys watch Letterkenny.
Oh, yeah, and Letterkenny, of course. I'm all about the bird of beef.
Oh,
I have not watched that. Everyone keeps talking about it. I have not seen it.
Oh, you've got to. That's just good humor.
I refuse to get sucked into shows. You can ask Katie, just because I don't have time, and I know if I get sucked into a show, then time that I should be spending on other stuff is going to get put into making sure I binge watch that entire series.
You know what the best part about that show is, though? It's kind of it's got a South Park thing where every episode that you put on is it's different. Like it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not like linear.
Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
It's good.
But this is Matt's first time on Snakes and Stogies.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
I'm pumped because, I mean, he keeps all the cool stuff that I like to keep. So he's got chondros first and foremost. He's got boiga second most. He's got carpets. He's got some Asian rats. Like he's got venomous. Like
fun stuff.
What like
keep you on your toes.
The total package.
One might say extremely well-rounded.
I don't have knobtails.
That's all right. You got snakes. You're good.
I got tokays. They're not knobtails, but I got a gecko in the house.
You got real geckos.
That's right.
Real geckos. I love it. Do they keep you up at night?
I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and Hen Dog's here now too. Hen Dog.
And
another boiga guy.
Ashley Howdy loves Letterkenny. She knows what's up.
That's one of the best shows of our generation right now.
What is she doing here? She's supposed to be on the GTP Keeper radio episode. I don't know if if that's live tonight. It should be live like right now.
Interesting.
Maybe she's multitasking.
Maybe.
Mm.
Maybe hubby's doing the talking and she's doing the swiping. Swiping on the snake boys.
What?
So, first impressions of this 18-year aged Gurkha is it's very bold. Very, very bold, but it has been a bastard to try and light. It just
it's not staying lit?
It's not staying lit. Like I get like 2 or 3 drags out of it and it just stops. So I'm going to give it a minute. No, it's good. It's very good. I'm rolling it in my hand right now. It got real hot in the mid-third. So I'm going to let it chill out for a minute and I'll try and let it re-jump itself and see what happens.
How was cleaning up that case? Is that a pain in the ass or what?
Which case?
You had a plume breakout, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. I forgot about that.
Paint us a picture.
So I got away from wooden humidors because, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because of the air conditioner in my home or whatever, but the wooden humidors, they don't hold their humidity for me at all. Like any kind. I've tried different brands. I've tried expensive ones. I've tried cheap ones. I've tried different types. I'm a huge advocate. Can you guys hear my neighbor talking or no?
A little bit. It's fine.
Okay. I'm a huge advocate. Okay. I'm a huge advocate for Boveda packs, and I use them in everything. I love Boveda, a phenomenal company with a phenomenal product. For those of you who don't know, they make all kinds of humidification and dehumidification products for both food, tobacco, and cannabis, if you feel so inclined. And they have different brands, different lines of that stuff. So I've used all these different things, and the wooden friggin' humidor will not hold moisture. So I switched to Pelican cases because in my line of work, I get a lot of Pelican cases from time to time. I'm a dealer for them. There you go. Justin's showing off one I gave him. And they're phenomenal because they're a legit gasket seal. And each Pelican case has a pressure valve on the side of it. And the intention is that if it was to be pressurized, whether it be underwater or in an airplane, when you go to open it, look at fucking Vanna White over here. I love it. Right?
Oh.
Look at there you go. There's a boba pack right now. What's that? 72? 69. Beautiful. That's the pack. So that pack actually has a proprietary chemical inside it that keeps moisture at a particular percentage. And then if there's an overabundance of moisture, it actually sucks out the excess and crystallizes into like an actual, yes, hen dog, I will get you a Pelican, I promise. Crystallizes.
I want a Pelican case for all the gear.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so I've switched to Pelican cases. And the pressure valve, excuse me. So they have this pressure valve. So if you get off an airplane and you've ever flown with something that's pressurized, it's a bitch to open. The pressure valve makes it so you can actually open the case easily. I found that regulates humidity so well that all of my Pelicans maintain a perfect 72 to 74% humidity. And I'm going to stick to
with anything with a really good seal on, I tell people that all the time. Like humidor wise, it doesn't have to be a cedar humidor. Like unless you're aging stuff, if you're aging wine, you don't have to have a wine cellar.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're smoking regularly, a travel case like this, a Tupperware, anything with a good seal that's going to keep that humidity in can work. I have that acrylic humidor, and like that's not going to be very good for aging because that cedar it helps with that whole process. So
you don't want to use normal cedar. I mean, normal cedar or like American cedar will work, but ideally the best cedar is red Spanish cedar. It's actually very hard to find in its own, in like wooden planks or boards or whatever. But if you're shopping for a wooden humidor, the best wooden humidors are going to be red Spanish cedar. Dominique says that she needs to start paying attention to what we talk about at the beginning of the show because she got invited to a cigar tasting and she needs to fit it in with her coworkers. Rock and roll, Dominique. We love you. But back to my horrible mold outbreak. For those of you who don't know what plume is a form of fungus or mold that grows on dried tobacco. When tobacco is too dark and too moist, just like anything else that grows in dark, moist places, fungus appears. Some connoisseurs believe that it enhances the flavor and they'll just straight smoke the mold. Me personally, I'm a fan of it. You straight smoke the mold, Justin?
It doesn't taste like anything. I'll just brush it off.
I'm interested in that though, because I don't know if I would. I think I'd be with Phil. I don't know. I think it just like something in my head would not let me.
Well, now I've found.
Well, I was gonna say, I know I breathe spores in every single time I go outside, but I'm not doing it on purpose. It's part of the air. You know what I mean?
Right. And I like eating mushrooms, but something about like smoking mold or fungus.
Yeah. And like, here's the thing too. And I don't want people to think that like it looks like the white fuzzy mold that grows on aspen bedding that gets too moist. I'm not talking about that. And like, there's not mushrooms growing in my humidor. It's basically a almost baby powder appearance, very similar to like talcum powder or like chalk powder. And if you rub it with your finger, it basically just smears almost like ash. Okay, so Justin's pulling some pictures up so people can see. And a lot of times I'll get some plume and I'll literally do what Justin said and I'll just wipe it off with my finger. But I have one small humidor that I keep my Cohiba Maduro No. 5s that were brought to me by a very good friend from Cuba. And they all got white fuzz all over them.
See, now if they look like this, I ain't smoking that.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's more so what I had pictured. Like that wouldn't bother me.
Yeah, if it's something like that, that's brush it off, it's fine. But when it starts straight up looking green or like that, throw it out.
When it gets fuzzy.
Yeah, that's bad. That's bad news bears.
That's mold.
So that photo right there, that's basically what I encountered last night when I checked the humidor. Because I mean, let's face it, I don't smoke them that often or really ever because they're They're valuable to me, and I like to save them for special occasions. So I try to crack the humidor open at least once a month just to let it get some fresh recirculated air. And they were just covered in white stuff. So I sat there with a damp paper towel and I wiped them all off last night. And now I got to remember to open it more.
Yeah, I don't know, because I've like what I've seen, like what this picture up here shows of this. Like I always just assumed that was just like the pectin that they used to keep the cap on the top that was on somebody's hands when they were rolling it. I always assumed that was just that because it has that sort of shininess to it, like pectin would.
Yeah, maybe. I always assumed
I don't know.
3 stages of plume. Dan says wipe it off. I literally heard his voice say, wipe it off, be a man, in my mind. And dude, I've done that tons of times, but to see an entire box of Maduro number 5s covered in plume, I was like on the verge of tears. I was like, no fucking way. Like
I would rather have that than tobacco beetles.
That's true. Yeah, tobacco beetles are no bueno.
Because then those are like definitely not smokable.
Yeah.
I have never dealt with beetles.
You never seen tobacco weevils or tobacco beetles?
No.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I imagine they're like any kind of like little grass or hemp weevil or something, but weird.
Yeah,
they eat little tunnels into your cigars, and so you'll pick it up, and it'll look like termites have been through it. Like perfect little round holes, and like it's weird because the eggs only hatch in like a certain temperature range above, I think, like upper, like mid, like lower 80s, I think they hatch, and that's when they're a problem. So, I mean, they're actually pretty common, but because most cigars aren't kept at that temperature, they don't hatch. So, but when they do, man, you get to you see boxes. Let me see. I know there's a picture of them. Boxes that are just like cigars that are just Swiss cheese.
And
that's crazy.
What were you gonna say, Matt?
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say is I've never had them in my personal collection, but I've had like my employer had them pretty bad. One of my coworkers had them pretty bad, and they both found that it was the appropriate amount of humidity for the cigars in the humidor, but the temperature, the ambient temperature, was chill. So it was like low 60s in the room or mid 60s in the room, but the humidor was still at like 72, 74%.
Higher, yeah. Crazy. They actually look like more of a beetle than a weevil.
And what's funny is the ones that I've seen were actual weevils and had like the long weevil neck.
Weird.
But they drill these perfect little holes in them.
Yep, that's it.
So that's probably something that you probably encounter a lot more working in shops or being around like stuff being imported or shipped in more often, yeah?
No, believe it or not, I have only come across one box that had any signs of them. There weren't any live ones in there, but there were signs of them that they had been there because there was a couple cigars that had been chewed up.
Sure.
But other than that, no, I mean, I really haven't. And I check pretty regularly. When I open a new box, I definitely, as I'm tagging like price and everything, I go through and kind of look around and make sure. But I mean, I've only found one box of cigars that had them. So
I'm finding myself thinking about them, like how snake mites come in and like enter people's homes and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where if you have like a humidor, especially like we have at the shop, like get that box out stat because those things will run rampant.
And what's funny is I had one coworker that, like, all right, for example, when my employer had a good batch of them in his one small humidor he kept at the office, my one coworker was like, "Oh, I'll smoke them. I don't care." He says, "Just wait for you get to the hot center and they start popping. That's when you know it's good." And I'm like, "That's so gross."
That's so gross.
So gross. But he did it.
Hey man, to each his own. I couldn't do that. No way.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'd do it depending on the cigar.
Dominique says we need to start quarantining our cigars.
The hallway closet.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a chicken behind you? You've got birds and stuff. You got turkeys, right?
I got chickens and turkeys. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the turkeys. I was like, I forget that he's always posted videos of his toms.
Right? Oh my gosh.
You
Look
and
how
Luke
cute
Myers would be best friends because he just got into some chickens recently, and they're his babies.
Dude, I love them. They're great, and they love us. They're actually really good animals. The turkeys are a little bit much though. The turkeys like shit on everything and eat everything, and then peck at all the chickens. But the chickens are cool. If I'm being honest, the reason that I have these is because we have the space, and I have a lot of boiga. Hate to say it, but I'm not breeding rats, I'm breeding chickens.
Yep. Yeah, Dan
That's
says
why I got this gecko group behind me.
Yeah, right. I saw that you started that.
And yes, as Phil was saying, Dan says carpet food.
Yeah, carpet food. Yeah, all the carpets, the chondros, the boiga, even the rat snakes, even the indigo. They all eat chicks.
Yeah.
I still want to find chicken hearts, man. Like, I'm so annoyed that I can't find them anywhere here in town. I need to go back and see if that little Asian supermarket is still.
Your Walmart
Like when No, dude, I checked everywhere. Like, we have Piggly Wiggly. I think we're like one of the last freaking counties in the United States to have a freaking Piggly Wiggly. And I was like, for sure they're gonna have it, just given all the other weird stuff they carry, and they didn't. And then like I checked Publix, I checked Food Lion.
This is a weird one, but try bait and tackle shops, because I used to do a lot of catfishing growing up out here.
I didn't even think about
We have
that.
these lakes, and bait and tackle shops will often sell buckets of chicken hearts for catfish bait.
Well, my mom works at one, so
Dude,
why I didn't think about that, but because I'm wanting to like offer some hearts or something as like like if I'm, because I'm breeding my own mice, so. Which it shouldn't happen, but in the off chance that I'm having to wait a little while some stuff gets a little more size to it, like I want a nice alternative to try to, throw in there and add to it. And, Billy was talking about chicken hearts, and he did like some necks, I think, too, or something like that. He's, Billy turned me on to a lot of that stuff. And now, of course, I want to do it, and I can't find any of it. So
you can also, they're about the exact same size as a chicken heart. And as brutal as it is, like after you've snipped them, you can pretty much skin them really quick. Just clip the beak off a chicken head, or a chick head. Clip the head off of it, and then clip the beak, and then yank the dressing off of it real quick, and you got pretty much like a chicken brain or what smells like a chicken heart and about the same size. In the meantime,
yeah.
But yeah, that's really good for like I see a lot of imported like Nigroceps, or since we were on the rear thing earlier, a lot of imported rear fang stuff that wants birds will take hearts before they take anything else.
Well, I'm hoping that like the Alterna, I can just take some frozen thawed pinkies, send them, when these Cyanea hatch, offer those up. Or actually, I also have all my initial idea was the Vittatus froglets that I have. Like I've got a ton of Phyllobates Vittatus froglets that like I sell wholesale because I get so many of them, but now I'm like something for Boiga, like off the bat, some frogs that are clean and kept, they're not
captive dark frogs. They're not toxic to them.
Yep.
That's cool.
Justin, you don't have Publix by you?
Yeah, I got one right down the road from me.
And they don't stock chicken hearts?
No.
That's crazy.
Dude, I was like, I'm in the South. Like, there's no way there's not a grocery store that just carries chicken hearts, no problem. Because Billy was getting them at like a Walmart. Yeah, they had gizzards. I don't know.
It's so strange. You'd think the South would be of all places somewhere to find them.
Yeah.
Like Billy does like chicken hearts and frog legs. I want to say he had some feet, if I recall. Which I'm not really down for feet.
I just feel like there's no real sustenance.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot there.
It's just like bone and skin.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you got a female that you want to give like a calcium boost, that may not be a bad idea. But
at the same time,
like normal
bird bones are hollow. I feel like they would have less calcium than like a mammal,
Well, if I could pull up a picture for you guys, I'd say this too. I mean, I feed chicks to my carpet pythons and everything else, and like not often, but frequently enough, they'll poop and there'll be a chicken foot in the poop or something, like they're not completely digestible in the sense that the rest of the prey item is. So I think the legs, like, sure, like if you were, if you had something you had to feed the way you feed a rat tail or something to keep it alive,
Yeah.
then it would work. But yeah, I can't see that being too sustainable. Just seems like they don't kind of pass them anyways.
Yeah. So
If
Billy does those in frog legs.
Matt, are you on a computer or in your phone?
I'm on my phone. Why is it echoing?
No. I was going to say is if you're on a computer, if you look at the bottom of the screen, there's a thing that says screen share, and you can pull up a window and click it, and then Justin can throw it up on the screen for us. So, for next time.
Yeah, for next time I will. I thought about getting on the computer too, but I wasn't sure.
Which I actually tried frog legs myself for the first time at Daytona when I was at Melrose at P and Cody's.
Oh, you ate them yourself?
Yeah, I'd never had them before. I'd never been brave enough. They're actually, it wasn't bad.
It's chickeny.
Very.
It's fishy and chickeny.
It's best when you gig them yourself, you skin them yourself, and you throw them in the Dutch oven with the perfect amount of oil and the breadcrumbs and the seasonings, and just that's some good old southern
onion.
Or you go down to your local restaurant that has them and just order them.
That's true.
The 2020 approach, the 2019 approach.
I had a friend in high school that
Wyman said he's got me.
There you go. Oh, man. So I had a friend in high school that would go to this one Chinese buffet with all his friends, and they kicked him out because he would just go there and all he would eat is frog legs, and he cleaned them out one night, and they're like, every time you come here, all you eat is frog legs. You can't come here anymore. Eat some other food. Yeah.
He's buying them out.
Literally.
That's probably good.
Yeah, I mean,
you probably shouldn't survive the frog legs.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I was never a big frog. I mean, I had frog legs in the past. I had them a couple different kinds of ways. I'd have them at the Chinese buffet, or I had some good old boys that, would throw them on some tinfoil on the grill or whatever. And I tell you, I never really fell in love with them the way that I did when I started going hunting with my two snake buddies. And we would go for small game season. And I'm actually trying to find pictures of it right now. We go for small game season and we'd wake up early. We'd shoot some rabbits in the morning. Then we'd come back, skin the rabbits, have a light lunch that we brought. And then we'd go out in the afternoon, hit some squirrels, gray squirrel. And then in the evening, hit some more rabbits. And then one guy would go back and field dress the rabbits. And then we'd rendezvous back at the canal and we'd go gigging for leopard frogs.
Jesus, and then, is this Lord of the Flies?
And then that night we had a smorgasbord of small game, and it was friggin' amazing.
That sounds delicious, actually.
I cannot, man. I'm not into squirrel. I tried squirrel, not a fan.
You gotta almost deep fry it like nuggets, and it's the best.
Yeah, that's how I had it. It was just too greasy.
Yeah, we were doing
greasy, kind of tough.
Why was it greasy, man? My squirrel ain't greasy.
I don't know. I wasn't into it.
Trying
That's to fair. People that want duck and stuff for some reason. I think duck is delicious.
Yeah, duck is delicious, but I do understand how duck is a lot more oily than most other game birds.
Yeah.
But squirrel? I don't know. Where is this picture? I had some great pictures.
Maybe it was just a bad squirrel. Maybe it was a leopard squirrel or something.
While you find that picture, I'm going to try to reposition closer to the light. It's getting dark out here.
How did we go from talking about feeding frog legs and stuff to our snakes to us talking about eating every woodland creature that Phil comes across?
So, first picture is
ready. Hey, Marcus is here. Look at that.
Hey, what's going on? I actually, I feel bad. I just silenced their FaceTime. They tried to FaceTime me, and now they're showing me pictures of us on their TV.
Nice.
It's fantastic. I love them both. Look at this. Look. They say, look, we're famous. That makes my head bigger than in real life. Look at that. It's crazy.
Dude, you guys are famous.
Nah. Only with a select group of individuals that are deranged enough to watch and listen to us.
5 people that care.
There's very few podcasts that are, not to make your head any bigger, but in my opinion, on the coattails of NPR and some of the other better podcasts out there.
Oh, well, we appreciate that sincerely.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
I'm going to tell the Podfather himself that.
Ooh. I think you're the
Podfather.
only one who has an actual cell phone number. That's one of my goals. My goal is to one day have Burke's phone number. That'll just make me feel special inside. So what you people are looking at, this picture right here is a perfect example of why I go small game hunting. Because I get to see this view day in and day out when I'm in the field. We're looking for snakes. We're looking for, all types of reptiles, amphibians, shooting some small mammals, eating like kings, and just enjoying the wilderness. And Dutch oven is a must. But the picture I really wanted to show is this one. Great. Now I lost it. Fantastic. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Cock. You said more like the coattails of GTP Keeper Radio. Nothing against GTP Keeper Radio because they're awesome, but they only do episodes like quarterly, if that.
So what you're
baby turtles?
No, they're not baby turtle, you sick bastard. No, those are snipe. And
the professor from Harry Potter?
No, that was Snape. This is Snipe. And this picture is wonderful because we used the same oil that we cooked the frog legs in for the snipe. And we put a little bacon grease in there, and we took some Everglades seasoning. And for those of you who are not from the South, you need to get up on that Everglades seasoning because
I don't even know what
makes
Everglades seasoning is.
Go round. Everglades seasoning is. What's that, Matt?
Is it like
the everything seasoning?
Pretty much.
I don't know if you guys have it over there, but yeah, we
have. It's made with bath salts and meth because it's Florida.
Crack cocaine.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like. Oh yeah, Dallas knows what's up. Thomas knows what's up too. So this is snipe. But what makes me happy about this is because now me and my 2 other friends, Travis and Chris, we can definitively say that we are actual snipers because we have shot snipe and we've eaten it.
Tom said, Mike, if you find yourself in Cincinnati, you're more than welcome to hunt the small game in my apartment basement. They're rats, but I consider that city small game.
Depending on what city you're in, that might be bigger than you're bargaining for.
All right, now I'm going to Google it because
what?
For Everglades seasoning.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Is it like a brand? Oh, okay. I thought it was like some weird Florida shit where they're like, yeah, we just take the fuzz from the cattail reeds and some Old Bay.
No, it's not like that at all, I swear.
I see now. It's a legitimate thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a brand.
Water.
It's basically just sodium. Just lots of sodium.
Take some bath salts and some alligator urine and you mix it up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, hey, do you guys want to yank out one of these snakes while you guys pick something to talk about?
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah, I was about to ask you about Cerastes anyway, so.
Dallas, if they sell it at Publix, I have a Publix. I saw it showed up when I Googled it. It said Everglades Seasoning Publix, so I'm assuming that they carry it.
So, for those of you who don't know, Matt keeps Crotalus Cerastes, the Sidewinder.
The Sidewinder, not the
Winder.
Not the real horned one.
Not that devil snake.
Not the Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah,
right?
version.
Yo. Yeah, here, let me grab you guys. So what's cool is that
Do you mind speaking about the subspecies too, just so that people know? Because like I said, I didn't know until recently.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'd love to. So there's the cerastes, which everyone knows, which is your horned viper, your Saharan horned viper. And then we're in Arizona where we live. We have, I think the one that everyone kind of goes off of the number is 13 species. I believe there's 15 recognized species and arguably 17 species of rattlesnake in the state of Arizona. 2 of those they're all crotalus other than the cisturis. We have the Massasauga, but as far as the croats go, we have 2 sidewinders, and most people don't know that because they relatively get the same size, but super far apart from each other. One is really southern. They come from Yuma, Arizona. They're like 3 feet long or so. And then the ones that I keep those are Crotalus cerastes. And then the ones that I keep are Crotalus cerastes circobombus, which are smaller actually and more widespread throughout the state. So they're the ones that if you ever come to Arizona and you drive out to the lakes or you decide to go field herping or something, they're pretty common to find like sitting in the middle of the road. So more often than not, you stop to move them off the road if you care, and that's how you find them. But they're kind of arguably like a pygmy rattlesnake. Yeah, those little guys. They get just bigger than a true pygmy, so they're not classified as one, but they get about 2 feet. And I love them so much because most crotalus the males get larger than the females. You guys know that. These ones are like one of few that the females actually get bigger than the males. So the males don't get very large at all. They get about a foot. And then the females will get about 1.5 feet. Sometimes they'll push 2 feet. So they're actually pretty cool. And what's cool is they just had some babies. So I'm going to actually pull a baby out. And I threw this little gardening welding glove on because they're small enough to where I can just pull one out for you.
These are like the U.S. Caudalis or Cornuta.
Yeah, they really are.
That's
hey, I was
sweet.
gonna say, shrink that back down because it looks like he's pulling it out.
That's what she said.
I saw that coming too. I was like, damn it. I saw that coming. And please, for whoever's actually watching this, please don't try this at home. Matt is a trained professional. He's been doing this for a very long time, and he knows what he can, what kind of limits he can push. Look at that.
You posted a picture of them when they like first came out, and they were like sitting in a bottle cap. Like they're so tiny, right?
See if I can't just get them in the palm of my hand and give you guys an idea of like just how tiny they are in your hands.
That's
now, how old
baby
is this?
Alterna.
These are, let's see, they were born at the beginning of the month, so they're half a year old, or half a month old.
Wow, man, so adorable.
I had 10. Mom laid, or shouldn't say laid, she gave birth to because they are ovoviviparous, they're a live birth animal. The mom gave birth to 10 babies and didn't retain anything, which was good. So she had a nice, healthy pregnancy, and all 10 came out super healthy. 5 of them within the first week had shed out and eaten pinky mice for us.
Awesome.
And they took pinky heads first. We just took frozen little pinky mice and clipped the heads off. And that's what we start them on. And then once they eat a head once or twice, we'll offer them like a whole pinky, and they seem to take it. And one thing I've noticed, if you guys ever want to keep them, because they're finicky eaters, I've noticed that they almost have a bigger stomach, or they have bigger eyes than their stomach. So they're more inclined to actually like take down the larger meal than the smaller meal. So I think a lot of people struggle with feeding them little geckos or mouse tails and stuff, and they don't want to eat. And oftentimes, like, you offer them a full pinky mouse and they take it because it's big enough for them to actually go after, which is kind of weird. And that might have something to do with, you know, how like, I don't know if either of you guys fish, but I do a lot of bass fishing. And there's a lot of different times in the year and stuff that plays. And when you're looking for big trophy bass and stuff, and it's certain times of the year where you got to make them want the meal and make it worth it for them to go after it, for them to take it. And I think that the Cerastes are kind of the same, but they're freaking tiny. Like they are born the size of like a quarter.
It's crazy.
Itty.
And now I noticed that a lot of your adults have the like Atrox raccoon tail. Do most of them have that black and white banded tail? Because to be honest, I don't recall many, if not any of the ones that I have ever seen in captivity really having it.
So there are, someone just commented what they're eating on in the wild.
Yeah,
in the wild, kangaroo mice, little roof rats and field mice that we have out here. Or I'll be honest, like the babies probably are going after prey items that are like little Mediterranean geckos or banded geckos and stuff that we have out here. But yeah, in captivity, they seem to do fine on mice. The banded tail, you're right. There's kind of a variation in the Circobombus, and I should have brought out two to really show you. And I can go run and grab another if you guys like. But there's a bit of variation in the litter. So if you guys like pop on the Instagram, I posted a few photos of different litter mates, and some are like the one I just showed you is my favorite and one that I'm going to hang on to because he's almost patternless. He's pink, and he has no saddles, no white stripe down the back, very little speckling. He'll probably look really cool. Some of them have like really, really dark saddles and a bright, almost silver stripe down the back, and then some of them are kind of like right there in between. So I think the more raccoon banded ones are just maybe locality variation. The two that I have, the female, that probably is what it is because they're polar opposite sides of the state, and the female does not have the banding that the male does. So the male that I post more often has more banding, and my other female has banding, but yeah, this one doesn't.
Super cool, man. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. The only thing that kind of sucks because our bag limit's 4. So whether you're breeding them or not, we can have 4 because they're a native species. So I have a limited amount of time from when they're born to find homes and stuff for them. But the other downside is because they're native, we can't sell them or anything. So you can't really advertise or market them. So you have to find people that are, one, you have to have a hunting license in order to receive them, keep them, whatever. You have to have a hunting license 365 days out of the year if you're going to have your rattlesnakes for that time. And then the hunting license is cheap, but you have to have that. And then you have to, you know what you're doing. You have to be safe about it. And of course, like I'm one of those people that if you're going to take one home, I kind of like pop a lid open and hand you one of the little hooks, which you guys have had Brent on. These get hooked hooks.
Oh yeah,
super phenomenal. These are like my favorite.
Dude, I can't find mine. Mine disappeared, and I'm so annoyed because I have no idea where it went.
The last shop that I was working in, he came in. That's actually how I met him, and we did a little kind of co-sign deal with them and got a whole bunch of them in. So I bought a shitload of them at wholesale for personal. But
awesome.
Yeah, I'll pop the lid off and kind of like hand them the little hook that I use and take the Cerastes out and go put it away. Like the last step is kind of like if you can, they're finicky when they're little. So if you can put it back in the cup, close the lid on it, be safe about it and everything else, then you can take it home. And if you have trouble putting it away, then you're going to have trouble feeding it, maintaining it and everything else. So then you're not ready for it. But that's the only downside is it's hard to find homes and you're kind of given a window to relocate them. And it's not good conservationally to take stuff and then just go put a litter of it back out wherever you want. And they came from totally different ranges, so I'd have to kind of flip a coin to see where I dropped them anyways. So that's the downside, but they're cool. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. They're awesome species. Do yours actually sidewind a lot in captivity or no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you take them out, I try to do the YouTube stuff, and I think the first clip on the videos and like the little intro is one of them just cruising across the floor. Yeah, they sidewind a lot, actually.
This is actually
I forgot about that.
This is actually a picture of our good friend Mike basically containering this fish within the Fiji bottle, true Phil Wolf style. That's how we do on the herbiculture. So, Mike, thanks for sharing.
What's happening in that photo?
So,
inside joke at Phil's expense.
Yeah. So basically, all right, I've been doing venomous for a very long time. And when we go out in the field, we usually bring water bottles with us. And specifically, I bring Fiji water bottles, not because I'm this bougie guy who needs to have, decadent water, but because the Fiji water bottles, aside from them being larger, the plastic is real smooth and it's super dense. So if I find a pygmy or a baby cottonmouth or even a baby eastern diamondback, I will oftentimes container it within the Fiji bottle. I have little air holes. And that way, if I have a backpack, I can throw them in the backpack. I know they're not going to bite through the plastic. At the same time, if I'm in the car, I have like a Tupperware container that I could stack like 4 or 5 of those Fiji bottles because they're square, And then when I get home, depending on the species, I'll either cut the top off or I'll just unscrew the cap and just leave the bottle in the enclosure, and then the animal just comes out on their own. Well, I had mentioned this to Brent when we had him on the show, and him and Justin and several other people looked at me like I had 5 heads. So I can imagine.
I love that. That is, you would fit very well in this state because that is how everybody herps out here. You go with like cargo pants and pockets with like the Fiji water bottle is genius because you're right. It's absolutely thicker. But yeah, I mean, you see Powerade bottles, Gatorade bottles, you name it. People will put stuff in everything. The biggest thing out here is inverts though.
Is what?
Because all inverts.
Oh yeah.
So all the different scorpions, we have the giant desert centipedes. So like a lot of the herpers you run into out there flipping rocks are bugs.
I believe it.
Or you run into them looking for specks or claws.
And I didn't learn about water bottles or any of the obscure containers from I can't take credit for it. Well, let me rephrase that. It clicked in my head to use the Fijis because of the durability of the bottle and let's face it, the Fiji water tastes better because the plastic isn't shitty plastic. It's good quality plastic. So I figure if it tastes different to a human, it's probably safer. Maybe it's less porous. Maybe it's less chemically. And if I'm putting the animal in there and it's taking a car ride for a couple hours, I'd rather have it be in a better plastic bottle. And then at the same time, it is denser, so I don't have to worry about a pygmy biting through the plastic, right? Well, I learned all this from import-export, man, because everything from cobalt blue tarantulas to baby cobras to Euromastics. Yeah. There you go.
Those Nalgene bottles are legit.
Yeah. That's way denser than a Fiji too. So, but we would get these shipments in from Southeast Asia and Africa and wherever, South America, and literally I would crack open the container and it would be 500 jet black film canisters. And in every single film canister was a cobalt blue tarantula.
Yep.
It's like they use what they use. Africans are notorious for shoving copious amounts of poor defenseless little animals in water bottles. Now, I'm not about that. I don't like shoving, 6 baby cobras in a water bottle, but they do it. And that's how it comes. Yeah, it used to come here. It's much better now. That was 10, 15, 20 years ago. But it just made sense to me. So when I talked about the Fiji bottles on the show, the running joke ran, and Mike was kind enough to try and shove a bass in there.
That's awesome.
Katie finds it hilarious too.
I think it's crazy how you guys out in the Southwest United States, you guys use large tweezers to catch small rattlesnakes.
Some people do.
And dude, I watch these videos of all these guys catching clobidai and lepidus and sidewinders and massasaugas, and they literally have 24-inch tweezers that you would use for feeding a rat to a snake, and they literally just gently grabbing the small rattlesnake, and then they put it into a container so that they can let it chill out and take photos and then stage their photos or field collect or whatever. But I never thought of doing that. It's crazy.
They're almost used like a more controllable hemostat. And especially if you buy, the 24-inch ones with the rubber tips on them, they're a bit softer. Yeah, you see a lot of people do that.
Well, that's Henry and I were working at Underground when they got in 3 or 4 clutches worth of coral cobras, Aspidolaps lubricus. And anybody who's ever worked with neonatal or juvenile coral cobras, or any Aspidolaps for that matter, will tell you that Scott, welcome to the group, man. I forgot about that. He got a 3-foot Textilis and a 600 milliliter water bottle. Now that, sir, that is talent, and I commend thee. Tip of the hat.
Gosh, that's nerve-wracking.
So Henry and I got all these baby coral cobras, and they do not ride a hook. They're not big enough to tail by any means. They do not ride a hook. You need to have a container within a container. Oftentimes, if it's in a drawer system, you have to slide the container on the drawer because the minute you open the drawer, it's going to flop out on the floor. So Henry and I actually took 24-inch hemostats and we dipped them in liquid silicone. And we would just literally just pick up the baby cobra, put it in the container. Like there was no trying to use a hook. It was futile. So
that's interesting though. That's an interesting approach to that. The silicone.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the hemostat, they always have those little alligator teeth on them.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to scratch them or cut them or pinch them, So we literally just took a little container of liquid silicone and just dipped each tip in it. And I think actually one of them, one of the tweezers we had that were one of the Pakistani made tweezers with the color rubber tips on them. We very, very gently peeled the rubber tip off and put it onto a set of hemostats.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you buy the cheap ones, you can kind of peel them off and slide them back over the sleeve.
Yeah.
I got a pair of those little ones, and I was feeding chondros today, and my one from David Brahms didn't grab the mouse and instead grabbed the end of those hemostats and would not let go.
Oh, yeah. It
was so annoying.
Well, I made that little video last night of the drawer puller from Get Hooked. You guys there?
Yeah. Is Phil there?
Phil.
We're good?
Are we?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
You're both lagging out on my end. Hardcore.
Damn it. What
okay,
about now?
We're back. We're good?
I don't know. Are we?
Yeah, I see you guys.
You're fine. I mean, you're both fine on my end.
Yeah, you guys are good on my end.
Okay, yeah, we're back. All right, yeah. That cloud passed. What were we saying, Matt?
I think you were saying something.
You were your drawer puller video.
Yeah, your drawer puller from Get Hooked.
Oh yeah. So I'm pulling the drawer open on a cottonmouth, and it kept going back into the back of the drawer, and I don't want to pull the drawer all the way out because then the drawer's going to fall on the floor. So it had just enough darkness in the back that the cottonmouth would keep going back there. So I started gently nudge him to come with the drawer puller, and dude, he latched on to the shaft of that drawer puller, and there's 2 perfect scratch marks into the front of it, and there's just yellow venom everywhere.
That's pretty impressive, actually. I'm surprised it didn't break off on it.
Yeah, I actually probably tomorrow, because I want to give him a day to chill out. I'm probably going to check him tomorrow, make sure he doesn't have nothing messed up in his mouth.
Did you say copper or cotton?
Cotton.
Cotton. Is that the new cotton that you got?
No, this one is actually one that I got years ago from Marcus. Dude, this thing's amazing. It's super chill. It rides a hook. I can tail it. It doesn't thrash or do anything crazy. But when he doesn't want to play, like when I was using the drawer puller, dude, he's a nut job.
He's a moccasin. Yeah, he turns into what he's kind of supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. How's that, dude? That I have to say that copper that you have, that yellowhead, beautiful. That thing is insane. I mean, we never see them like that over here. So that thing is insane. And then it's a purple mangrove that you have, right?
Uh-oh.
You there?
Phil.
Justin, can you hear me all right, or is
it fine? you and I are fine. It's Phil.
Okay. Just making sure.
Jesus.
Hey, while we wait for him to come back, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go. What do you want to see first? Do you want to talk about Nigroceps or do you want to talk about Cynodon?
Ooh. Let's go with the blackheads.
Blackheads? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I think it was my internet that was conking out. What was Matt saying?
What was I saying?
He said he hates you.
See, something about copperheads?
Oh yeah, that yellow-headed one you have is insane.
Oh,
That
yeah,
thing
dude.
is. You never see those localities over here.
Yeah, that was actually, I want to say it was mid-Georgia or eastern Georgia locality that was field collected by a friend of mine, and then it wound up going to Marcus, and Marcus gave it to me. And I want to use that to do a hybrid with a cotton, but he had real bad shed problems for the past like 3 or 4 years, and I finally got him shedding like perfect, and it's because I put him in a CB70. Like he was in a vision cage in like a nice enclosure his entire life, and now I shove his butt in a drawer, and life is grand. So I think maybe this spring I might try and throw him to something if I got it. I'm supposed to
Put him with a perp.
Yeah, right. You probably eat the perp. The
Well, I wanted to ask you too. You have a purple mangrove, right?
I have 6.
He's got like 20 of them.
No, not
Dude,
yet.
That's a bucket list one. Those I want to keep. Trim trigs, those guys. Any of your eyelash, any of your squamagira, mangshans, all the cool vipers.
Dude.
Texas in the next couple years is where we're headed. So then I'll get to have all that stuff.
Awesome, dude. Trim trigs are definitely on my list. Like legit. And I actually, Nipper sent Justin and I, somebody that he knows just had a litter of Venustus. And like, dude, that's on my list too, man. It's all Henry's fault. Henry's like, Southeast Asia. And all of a sudden I fall in love with this stupid arboreal shit.
There's nothing wrong with arboreals.
The arboreal stuff will get you. At least viper.
Right? I'm talking to 2 guys heavily immersed in arboreal stuff.
That's all I'd be keeping.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, these are the black
Dude, look at that color, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it the male or the?
This is actually the female.
Let's say one of them is like red spitter red, like just ridiculous.
This one is more like a deep burgundy red.
So for those of you who don't or aren't watching this, or you're listening after the fact, when he said blackheads, he did not pull out black-headed pythons. He pulled out black-headed mangrove snakes, which is Boiga nigroceps.
Yeah. So these guys they're one of the smaller Boiga. I shouldn't say smaller because there's like a lot of really tiny ones, but these guys are definitely one of the smaller ones you'll find in the hobby. They only get about 5.5, 6 feet long. But like, no, you guys nailed it. They are like, if you see these in person, they're like bright spitter red, which is cool. And she's actually the darker, dingier red of the two. The male is the one that's got the color. But what's cool is I've got, as of tomorrow, these guys have an incredibly long like gestation or incubation period. And so they take up to 120 days. And they're really sensitive. So they need to be like 80 to 82 degrees pretty much the entire time. And you have to keep the humidity 70, 80% the entire time. So they can be really tough. So they're susceptible to drying out and breaking.
Wow. Look at that animal. Look at it. Now, this was a farmed animal or what?
So the female that I showed you guys a second ago was imported, and she actually came in. You know that gecko that you posted not too long ago that had the eye issue?
Yeah.
She actually, the female that I showed you, came in with a similar thing. She had a really severe stuck shed, and her eye, not to that extent, but was like bulging out of her head. She was an import. This one actually came directly from Dan Malari over at DM Exotics.
Awesome.
So this is one of his long-term captives. But yeah, what's cool is tomorrow is day 110 for 2 eggs on the first clutch that my female laid for me. So they lay, seems like bigger eggs, smaller clutches. So my female's been dropping clutches of 4. each egg is about this much of her body.
Wow.
So they're each like 4.5 inches long. But tomorrow is 110, and at about 110 days, if they don't start pipping, you cut them. So tomorrow will be the day that I'm either cutting eggs on these specific snakes or seeing some pips on 2 of the 4. Her first clutch, unfortunately, 2 of them went bad pretty quick. Actually, 1 went bad right away. Another one, like I said, they're sensitive. So 1 got found a weak spot in the shell, and then during the expansion, it kind of exploded out the side.
Ooh.
So I lost that clutch, which sucks. But she actually, about a week ago, laid. Actually, tomorrow's exactly a week ago. She laid 4 more that all look perfect. So I've got 6 incubating right now, and then I've got the Cynodon that are locking up, which I'll go grab next while we talk more about these things, since I brought them all out for you guys.
Awesome. And dude, it's amazing like how relaxed those animals are.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, if there's one piece of advice, Justin can probably back me up on this with Boiga. They're kind of like chondros. They don't have the defensiveness of a chondro, but they have the shyness of one. Green tree pythons, for those who don't know chondros. And if you handle them, if you take your time, if you bring them out slowly, if you pick them up, respectfully, and you don't yank them off of whatever they're hanging out on, and you just kind of let them come out and be the branch, they're like some of the best snakes ever. But if you sit there and you do this, or
They are very ready to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're ready to fight back. But the cool thing about them too is that they're really slow. So as badass of a snake they are, and how cool they stack up and will gape their mouth at you and show those fangs, if you will, they're not prone to like actually biting. Most of the time when they do strike, they miss because they're really inaccurate, and they strike really, really slow. So if you want to work with them, if you respect them and you take your time and you don't have the reflexes of the most stoned person on the planet, then you should be okay.
I need you to have a serious talk with my Cynodon because she does not share your opinion at all.
Really? She's feisty?
Death rolls like a son of a gun.
No.
Will not ride a hook. So like I'll hook her out, try and tail her. The minute my hand touches her tail, she wants to death roll. And now I have a limp noodle twisting and rolling in my hand, and I have to work my hand with it so that I don't break her back. And then eventually, when she realizes that she can't limp noodle herself away, that's when she cocks back and strikes at my face and puffs out her neck. And I realize, why do I have this thing?
These are what
They're awesome.
Oh yeah, look at that.
This is literally like, these are my Cynodon.
Yeah,
they're
look at that.
the dumbest, goofiest things ever.
Yeah, you need to tell this to mine because I could not do that with mine.
Yeah, my Cyanea aren't like that at all.
Now,
That's
see,
a different
all right.
species, though. Cyanea and Cynodon, 2 different species.
So that's
let me know if I ever, which I plan to, but when I hatch some of these out, or if I hatch some of these out, let me know if she's too much for it and you want to start fresh. I'll take you up on the offer.
Because I'll tell you, man, like, so that's one animal, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, this is just one thing here. Let me stretch him out.
How long is that animal?
He's about 11 feet, 9 to 11 feet, but he's probably closer on like the 10.5 to 11. People would argue 9, like his tail's always wrapped up. But yeah, if I can get him to space out a bit.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And they're the biggest.
See, I want some of those.
Right?
I don't know where I'm going to put it.
They're the largest boiga, right?
Yes,
I believe
sir.
So.
Yeah. And, Hendog says what happened, she was such a sweet baby doll. I think, honestly, it was just that she was fresh imported when Henry and I worked with her. And now she knows the ropes. And now she knows that I'm the guy that brings her chicks. And I'm the guy who's going to yoink her out of the cage and clean her poo. And, yeah, she's not having
it. They've settled.
Yeah. At first it was timid and afraid and, okay, this human's touching me. I'm going to let it do it. It's not eating me. Now it's like, okay, don't touch me. Look at that animal. Look at the banding on the tail.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And it's funny because I never thought they really they really kept much of their baby pattern, but then if you look at it, like they totally do.
It just changes color.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Pattern, it just changes color. What's cool
Yeah,
is
it's awesome.
I thought at the time, like I think the snake they remind me the most of pattern wise is a Bushmaster.
Oh yeah, very similar. Very similar.
Which is like, I mean, who doesn't want something that looks like a Bushmaster that's not gonna just like absolutely end your life the second you grab it.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, even then though, I don't want to be taking a hit off of any boy of that size. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hell no. You've seen the mouth on these things. The teeth are like the size of most of your big, like the teeth are the size of a freaking Easter.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a dog-tooth cat snake.
That's it.
Yeah.
And again, like we make jokes earlier. We make jokes earlier about you know, with using the welding glove with the baby Cerastes, but there's a lot of people, I got to tell you, don't do what he's doing with a Cynodon or any Boiga that you just got. Get it established, learn the animal, make sure the animal's cool, because if I did what he's doing right now with my animal, I would get bit in the face. It would be very bad. So just blanket disclaimer. Don't forget that rear fangs still are venomous. Look at those eyes. Look at that thing. Gorgeous.
Yeah, and that's wild that it's so well behaved and it's dark out too, because usually they're like night and day difference on literally. Like during the day, mine are pretty. They're still pretty ornery, but at night, like if I'm in the room and they're out and about and I like come near the glass, boy, they're ready to go.
There's a male too, he's probably the feistiest out of the three. But it's funny because like once they hit, how big is yours, Phil?
Probably almost right around 6, maybe.
Give him 2.5 more feet. And then watch how the temperament changes.
Okay.
It's kind of like that monitor lizard thing. I don't know if either of you guys have worked with monitor lizards, but they hit a juvenile stage and they're real defensive, or they break a lot of trust.
Sure.
And then they hit that size where they're not as afraid of things anymore. And then they really kind of become like just not threatening at all.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's how it is with a lot of species that get kind of bigger like that, like the yellow rats we have here that are just monsters. It's pretty rare that one tries to take a swing at me, and I think it's because they're literally so big. They're like they realize over time that nothing's really gonna mess with them. So they're.
I don't know if you have them, Justin. I know you have them, Phil. Look at Eastern Indigos.
Yep.
That's the biggest North American snake, arguably weight-wise, with like an Eastern Diamondback, but. That is the largest snake that we have in the States, and they're like one of the calmest snakes you'll ever encounter.
Oh yeah, even the Texans too, man. Like anybody I talk to that but like interacts with Texas indigos in the wild, or even some of the Mexican stuff that crosses the border. Like even those animals. Look at that animal stretched out. That's so cool. But even those Texas,
I could probably stretch them out. I mean, I've got a 6.5 foot arm span.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
That's a big animal, man. But yeah, even those Texas that people get, and they almost act like a Pitiophis, where they kind of huff and puff in the beginning, and then they realize, okay, you're not a bird of prey, you're not a predatory cat or a predatory dog. I don't have to worry about you, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of one of those like, go ahead, bite me, and I will. Yeah. You'll probably regret it.
I'm immune to venom. Fuck it.
You're just some jackass messing with me.
I eat Atrox for breakfast. Have you fed any of your dries snakes or no?
Mine?
Yeah.
No. I'll be honest, like I haven't lost much at home, and I used to bring stuff home from work when I was working in a reptile shop. I'm not anymore though, and I accidentally threw out like a lot of stuff that I had when I was moving, and then left working in a shop. So I don't really have much. Like I have a neonate chondro that like broke my heart when it passed, and like I couldn't. But
you can't see that.
I would have liked to. I did frogs, I did lizards, but I never did snakes.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I just can't. I can't do it. I did too much, snakes that only eat other snakes. And like Henry makes fun of me because Henry's huge on snakes that are Ophiophagus, and I'm just done with it, man. Like I don't mind doing it. Like if I had to, or like it doesn't bother me. Like I don't get all squeamish or nothing, but like I just don't want to do it at home anymore.
Right.
But dude, I just can't get over how big that animal is. And look at the sunset.
I need more boyga.
Look at the sunset, like how it fades on the sides of the body. Look at that. That's awesome.
I love them, man. They are super cool snakes. I think boyga, the entire genus, is relatively underrated for rear fang stuff, at least, because everyone wants hognose and false water cobras, and not to knock those because they're also cool. Anything rear fang to me is cool, but yeah,
it's an alien genus, man. They're from another planet.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Them and I love them. They're not of this world.
I like the Baird stuff that you do, Justin, because that's kind of how I feel with that. Is like out of all the stuff, rat snake wise or Texas wise and whatever that people are working with, that's kind of one of the it's alien, or it's like foreign for what's popular because people just overlook it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's just a silly, ignorant overlooking because there's so many reptiles. It's very easy to miss a color of crayon in the Crayola box when it's 500 colors now.
Yeah,
but,
true. Yeah, very true.
I'm with you. I think that the Bairds are a super cool one, or the Jansenide that you have now.
Dude, I love those things. Those have actually turned out to be very easy keepers.
Yeah.
I was really, not that I like doubted myself necessarily, but I was like, man, if I'm going to struggle with anything, it's really going to be these. But they've been stellar. Like, haven't had any problems. I think the female's in shed because I offered her food earlier, and usually I just put it at the mouth of the hide, and she just rips it. But I think she's in a shed because I put it in there, and I got no reaction today. So, and the male, just like the other, like male boyga, they kind of eat whenever they feel like it, which apparently is like once every 6 months.
Yeah, right. What's the common on? It's Gonyosoma jansenii, yeah?
Yeah.
What's the common on that?
Jansen's rat snake, black-tailed rat snake.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Right.
I just think it's cool that, like, growing up, I always liked earth-toned snakes, like browns and rust colors and stuff like that. And everyone always made fun of me, like, dude, you got another brown snake. Whoopity-doo. And now I have friends like the two of you and Billy, and, like, we love brown snakes. So, like, that makes me feel good.
So many shades of brown.
Right? There's so many shades. Dude, I'm all about the khaki, man.
All about the khaki. I live in the Sonoran Desert. Everything is brown. Like I better enjoy the color or I can't live here.
So I've been, all right, so I go to Vegas once a year for annual convention, but I go in January. So there's no point in me herping at all. It's cold as hell.
Right.
But 2 years ago, I have a friend who she's a professor of biology in outside of Phoenix. And she had me and my friend Brooke, who's a zookeeper in Palm Beach. The two of us went out there to do a field survey with her. And we went to Tonto National Forest, and we went to Flying Dutchman and a couple other places I'm sure you know of.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's a state park.
Oh.
It's out by the Superstition Mountains.
Oh, yes, it's not Flying. It's Lost Dutchman. Lost Dutchman.
Yeah. The Lost Dutchman.
The Flying Dutchman?
No, the Lost Dutchman.
SpongeBob?
Yeah. So, but it was crazy because when I was going there, I'm a huge Western buff. I love cowboy shit. And I was expecting to see the barren wasteland, And the first place we went to was Tonto, and it was lush and green and flowering. And I was like,
what the hell?
What the hell? Where's the moonscape I was expecting? And my friend Rachel was telling me, she's like, no, you're blessed because you hit the beginning of the super bloom. And I was like,
like maybe 3 months out of the entire year to see that.
Exactly. And I was kind of bummed. And then she says that people go there every year and they still miss it every year.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye, Dominique. So yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely got to come back when it's drabby.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you ever make it out here, I mean, rather the time of the year, I'll take you to some spots if you want to go find like ridge nose and molos, the molosis, the black-tailed rattlesnakes.
Of course.
There's a lot of cool southern stuff, and dude, we'll make a drive down to Tucson. Tucson's where Tombstone is, and is where like the OK Corral and Wyatt Earp and all that happened. Way cool place. It's also where all the blacktails and that stuff is, and also it's not far from the TA Mountains. Pay $15 and watch a 15-minute video to get a permit, and you can go find the TA white specks, the ones that are all over the freaking internet. Yeah, that'd be a cool little trip. You'd enjoy that. Awesome. You like Western stuff,
dude. My Delta Dash bill would be so big.
Dude, that's why, man, if we end up going to Texas, like if I come across a small beards, it's going home.
Hey, if you guys make a trip out to Texas, let me know, because my girlfriend and I are going to start making some trips out there to look like housing wise and areas we like, and I'll totally meet you out there, do some urban.
Man. Where are you guys thinking about going?
I don't know yet. So I think we'll probably look at like Dallas, Arlington, San Antonio, those places first. But we'll probably we want to look for a piece of land that's kind of more countryside. Neither of us are ones we don't have an issue driving an hour into like the city.
Yeah.
We don't have to be driving 45 minutes to like town or whatever. Because again, I grew up like mountainside in Northern California, up a place called Elk Grove, in a little town called Amador County, or a little county called Amador, in a town called Sutter Creek. And we were 45 minutes from the local market. So we'll probably find a countryside place. We can get a little land, want to do a little ranching, and then just some space for the reptiles. But we'll probably look closer to like the Arlington, Dallas, or San Antonio areas.
Cool.
Yeah, I was talking to Justin. You know him. I don't know him well. He runs the Tex Chondros page.
Mark. Yeah,
Mark.
Like the nicest guy ever.
Because like I post skate stuff every now and then, and he wakeboards.
Yeah.
And we both keep chondros. And I was talking to him yesterday, and he was saying, come out there for the Arlington show, and we'll go look around and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'll probably go out there at least for the Arlington show and meet up with him and look around.
Yeah, man, that Arlington show, I feel like a lot of people kind of sleep on, because compared to Daytona and compared to Tinley, people kind of don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. But when I see videos of it, there's like all the chondro guys in Texas are there.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks like it's super good for anything Morelia related.
Yeah. It's funny. Scott says that blacktails are his favorite tail shakers. And it just goes back to that whole thing of like us being enamored with Aussie stuff, and then Aussies being like, oh my God, your snakes have a rattle, you know?
Yeah,
right. But what's funny is I don't like blacktails because I have had horrible captive husbandry issues with them. And the running joke is that blacktails die really well.
Really?
Yeah. And
I remember you talking about that, and you were saying it's one species that just never seems to do well. And
then like I had one friend, he spent a lot of money. He spent like $700 or $800 on locality specific, captive bred, not established, but like not baby Oklahoma blacktails. And he had them, and he got them to eat, and then they crashed at like 6 months.
So just from knowing, like I don't keep blacktails, but I have a handful of friends that are venomous keepers, a couple that are Game and Fish, which is my buddy that was just out with Clob King before we started this. We were talking about a lot of them have seemed to notice that you guys are familiar with Morelia and like the carpet stuff. So you know how like diamonds or Brettles are kept a little bit colder than the other ones, but
sure.
Very similar range. Think Serbs, Molos, that stuff I think are just a lot more. They're just temperature sensitive. They got to be a little cooler. You know, they're a rattlesnake, so you'd think to keep them like a rattlesnake. But I think a super important part is just that like they come from microclimates that are neotropical. And so they have a little bit higher humidity, and they have a little bit more of a temperature flux, and it hits cooler, and it doesn't get quite as hot because I think it's covered a little bit more by not only the humidity, but they come from just a more like foliage range.
A little more temperate than you'd expect.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Yeah.
that they just might be a little more temperature sensitive, a little more temperate than you'd
probably
plan
what it
for a crow.
Yeah, because like me and my friend, both of our rooms are ambient 80. So like
Mhm.
even that right there, like I don't keep the Brettles in the room because of that. I keep Brettles downstairs. So like, yeah.
Yeah, you'd probably keep a Cerberus or a Molossus closer to how you'd keep probably like maybe, I don't know because I haven't had them, but maybe like a moccasin
Okay.
versus like a regular crow.
Yeah, I got you.
They'd probably be better.
Okay.
But yeah, they're variable too out here. You'll find like a lot that are dingy, but like I was saying, if you go south to like Tombstone area, you hit the Tucson range, they get like highlighter yellow, green, and
Yeah,
black.
dude, I've seen that. I've seen the crazy bright neon yellow with black bands. Oh yeah.
Those are super cool. And I've seen ones where the black tail goes a third of the way up their body.
Really?
Crazy far. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I
all.
found one out, it was actually super east. I was looking for Cerberus last year, and we went out to a town called Globe that's very kind of just tucked away in the mountains, a bit cooler.
That's
And
like
we were,
that's like 3 hours northeast of Phoenix.
yes, yeah. Or a little less north. I'd say southeast of Phoenix, northeast of like the Mesa, Tempe, like where the airport and stuff is. But yeah, it's all the way east.
So when I was in Tonto with my friend Rachel and Brooke, I hit up iNaturalist because I want to find Cerberus. That's like I want them so badly, like just a jet black with the gold lines, like
Yeah.
right.
Like those North Georgia timbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I start looking, and it was right by that. I just remember Globe, and I start looking. I was like, this is a pine tree forest. Like, this isn't the desert,
Yeah, it's weird. They're foresty rattlesnakes. They're not like your kind of open desert land rattlesnakes. You only find them in the woodland areas. Well, and another thing is I don't know the taxonomy on it because they're like playing with it, but it starts with an H, and it sounds ridiculous because nothing out here you can pronounce because it's either older Native American words that are just like you don't know how to fucking pronounce them, like Gila, or or like Chippewa or stuff like that, but Havasupai. But there's some northerns that come like way colder range, and they're like almost blue, gray, black, and orange when they're neonates.
Wow.
And then they still turn completely black, but they change almost like a Nicaraguan boa or something does, where they temperately change throughout the day with the temperatures. So they'll go from being like colored and almost look like a wicked looking Atrox or Western Diamondback to being like completely black like a Cerberus. So they're now being arguably reclassified as a subspecies of Cerberus.
Okay.
But all the Cerbs that we have out here are from like those type of areas. Like you find them in Globe where the temperatures hit as low as 40 degrees, and they come from like Flagstaff where it snows in the winter.
Yeah.
So it's weird. They're definitely a more moderate snake. That's
super cool. And it's not seasonal like an inland taipan. It's more like daily, like time of the day.
Yeah. It's time of day. It's not like a taipan where like they'll be yellow this time of year. They'll be dark browns or blacks this time of year or whatever. It's like you could find one in the morning that's gray, blue, and orange on the lighter side. And then you could come back 6 hours later when the sun's setting and it's like twice as dark or almost completely black. So yeah, that's really cool.
That's cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, you'd like them a lot. If you guys ever make your way out here, definitely give me a call. I'll take you to some places that hopefully you'll get lucky. We've also got the White Tank Mountains out here is a little range that has the Mitchellii, or now being whatever called Pyrus, but I still call them Mitchellii.
There's Mitchellii, and there's Mitchellii Pyrus, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the only reason I say I keep calling them Mitchellii is like if I discovered them and named them after me, I'd want them to stay named after me and not just have someone decide to reclassify them later.
Of course.
But what's cool about that range is there's red ones, there's white ones, and there's blue ones. And different ranges will have darker blue ones, or like Congress is a road that you can cruise out here that like the red ones will be like sunset orange. But that specific mountain range is cool because you can find all three. You can find reds, whites, and blues, and you can find ones that have been integrated between the colors. So you can find red, white, and blue speckled rattlesnakes, which is
That's awesome.
you get more American of a viper than that.
Right, dude, and like the quintessential Southwest, like that's awesome. You just need some fucking Bud Light and apple pie.
That's the only, you know what, though, on that note, I had said earlier, we have a bag limit of 4. That's what sucks. They're all Michelai, no matter the color. So you can't have a pair of reds, a pair of whites, and a pair of blues. You got to pick your 2 favorite.
So now let me ask you this. When you say bag limit, you're referring not to the amount you're allowed to field collect at one time, but also the amount that you are keeping in the home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're given 6 months to a year if they have like babies that exceed your bag limit to find homes for them.
It's 6 months. 6 months, you said?
6 months, 6 to 12 months. Yep.
I'm trying to find. I can't remember his name. I feel horrible about that, but I believe it's Dr. Connors who wrote one of the rattlesnake books.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's in Yuma, and his photography is just amazing with all the Michelai. And like, dude, he'll show like den sites with like the blue dad and the white mom and like the blue and white babies, and it's like, oh my god.
It's even crazier to like, there's a mountain out here that's protected, so you can't touch them if you find them, but you will find them if you go on the mountain because they're kind of all over the place. And what's cool is Gila monsters are in the exact same range. So you'll find Gilas too, but you'll find like the coolest, they are like powder blue to midnight blue speckled rattlesnakes. You'll walk up on like breeding pairs that are locked up. It's crazy. Yeah, you guys would enjoy that a lot, probably.
I'm trying to find. What's that?
Hen Dog wanted you to show the picture of a berm.
Oh yeah, it is a
headshot of the berm he sent him.
It is a gigantic Burmese python, and to be honest, I thought Henry was joking. I thought he was insinuating it was going to be food for Mango, but seeing as how Mango is only 6 foot and this berm is probably 20 foot. Let me find this picture. Stand by, guys. Where is this? Where is Hen Dog? Here he is. Okay.
It's funny when we had Jake Many on THP, he talked about how Australians are obsessed with rattlesnakes.
Yeah, right.
Yep, that's a Burmese python, all right.
Yep. That's a big old head, though. Big old head. Trying to find this page.
Have you noticed how much berms are on the uprise right now in the community?
I haven't, actually.
I've noticed a little bit of an uptick in social media's posts.
I wouldn't say it's anything too big, but I'd say that retics are definitely on the downslope and berms are going right back uphill.
The ebb and flow.
Yep.
What's up with your chondros, man? You been getting locks?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Just I had more chondros, and I'll be honest, when I was in the shop, I made a few deals on some import chondros that are no longer with me for some Boiga stuff, but I only have the one pair at the moment, and it's the Aru Biak pair, that blue Aru, that other Biak, and I've had a few locks, and it's interesting because they stay on the same perch up high in the back, and they stay close to each other, but it's cool that they'll kind of tell me when they're locking because the male, when he's not locked up with her, will go polar opposite side of the perch. And then he'll just go stack up on top of her. So they've locked 3 times as far as I think. So fingers crossed on that. I've never bred chondros. This would be the first time for me. So that'd be exciting.
I tried feeding my female today and she went off food. So mine's I think she's got some follicles in the works or something.
Oh, good. That kind of go off food. For some reason, I was under the impression you were talking about the one you just got.
Mm-mm. No, he eats like a freaking champ, man.
That's good. Yeah, my female's off food right now too.
It's funny
And she
because
has
Joe was like, he's kind of picky, and then like he's eaten every time I fed him, like no hesitation.
Interesting.
So
My male could be a bit finicky.
what was that?
I was just saying my male could be a bit finicky. I was actually going to say though too, and now that I realize it, because you just said your female went off food, my female actually did go off food this week. This is the first she passed up this week, and she shed yesterday, and she is thick. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't pull them out too much. Like the R is a puppy dog, and so is the Biak, but I have to. It takes time to take her out.
Yeah, mine's that way.
I don't pull her out and feel her for follicles all too often, but I will say that she's looked a lot thicker. So I think she's starting to build follicles, and she just shed yesterday. So let's hope.
Yeah, and it's funny because she started each day. She's gone further and further towards the cool end, which she usually hangs out on the hot end. And whether I have the temperature set up, I have it set down. The hot end is usually just where she hangs out, and so she's been inching her way to the right in that cage. So I think there's definitely something going on. I got to get a male in there.
What do you think you're going to pair on that one?
I don't know. I want to do that new guy. He's supposedly 5 years old. Not supposedly, he is 5 years old, but he's tiny. He's a dwarf compared to her. So I don't know. I've also got another subadult male that's been cruising a lot lately. I tried him earlier in the year, and he had no clue what he was doing. He was terrified.
So that chondros can go more off of age than size.
Yeah, I mean, you can, like, people have been able to get younger male chondros to breed, but for the most part, like Andy Middleton had kind of told me before, like, you know they're ready when you start seeing them, like you start seeing plugs just randomly in the water bowl or in the bottom of the cage.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's 3-ish years old, coming up on it, so he's getting there. He just
that blue,
dude.
Pull up blue. Yeah, that one. That's a good looking one.
So this is Dr. O'Connor. He wrote, and I'm going to butcher the name, but it's a rattlesnake book. It's like the quintessential rattlesnake book.
Okay.
And I was following his stuff a long time ago, and his photography gets better and better, and just the stuff that he posts is just breathtaking.
Are you on Instagram? Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Look up TR Adamson photography. That's my buddy out here. He's my buddy that works with Game and Fish, and phenomenal photographer. If you guys
amazing work.
Yeah, I've had him come to my house and take photos, and you'll find him on there. He's got photos of my animals like that are freaking perfect pictures.
Dude, look at this.
Yeah, look at those. Those are the TAs.
That's phenomenal.
Magazine cover.
Scroll down and try to find one of the orange, like, Congress specs. And I'll tell you to stop if I see one of the red, white, and blues.
Whoa. That's not supposed to be there.
No, that's a tiger snake.
I know.
Yeah,
Scott just sent me some tigers I got to post up as soon as we've done looking at rattlesnakes.
There's a King Mulga up there, or a King Brown, a Mulga up there, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's it. Got to follow him now. Got to follow him.
That's Wheeler Eye, right?
That is...
Phil's kryptonite.
I don't know. What's he calling it?
Banded.
Yeah, he's just calling it. Honestly, it looks like a cinctus. There would be more blotching on the face and a lot more black on the face here if it was Wheeler Eye or just Wheeler Eye.
And spikier, huh?
No, it'd probably about the same spiky level, but it would definitely have black markings on the face. Oh man, there it is.
Go just above that one afterwards. You'll find some really cool ones on here. But just above that picture, look at that blue. That thing is like purple.
Oh yeah, that's phenomenal. And so, I definitely got to follow this guy.
Go down just a little bit.
Look at that subhawk.
He might have a photo of one of those Serbs I was telling you about that, like, they do not look like Serbs.
I'm going back. You there?
Yeah.
All right.
You like that?
You're so fucking
Down. Look for like a
You're
almost
like
like
the
a
pelagic.
blue, gray, orange, and black.
Whoa! What's going on here?
Yeah, he found an Owen Pelly.
Oh, don't tell Burke and them that.
I know, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah, he went out with that Chandler's Wildlife YouTube channel and found that stuff. Oh, right there. That's one of them. No, go up. The picture of him, go up. Now go to the left of it. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Cerberus. Down.
Oh my God,
Wait.
Phil, that's not a rattlesnake.
I know. This is a Cerberus?
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a Cerberus, a northern.
Ooh.
Wow. Look at that.
Not crazy.
And dude, like, I gotta be honest, I love it. I think it's gorgeous, but I kind of like the black.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's a Cerberus. It's named after the dog of the.
That one looks like
underworld.
a Miami corn snake.
It
Isn't that
is very
crazy, though?
similar. Yeah.
Well, what's crazy is they'll go from that color to black throughout the day.
Oh, that's the one that's the daytime switcher.
Yeah, that's the one. Look at that, Molo.
Oh yeah. So, all right. So I also want to show you guys this too. This guy's name is Mark, and I don't. I mean, I just know it as Mark Yuma because that's his thing. But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, his stuff's awesome too.
dude, look at this.
I really want an article from him, but I
Dude,
don't
look
know
at
if it'll
that!
happen.
Look at that black banded speck that almost looks like a California king snake. Those are crazy.
Dude, like I look at some of these Mitchellii, and it makes me want to like have marble countertops made with
There's
their.
a red, white, and blue. There's a red, white, and blue far left. Just go up a little bit.
This one.
Right, bottom one, right under it.
This one. Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's got all 3 colors in it. Those are insane.
I love how the eye is like the exact same sort of static.
What's
Color.
crazy is the rocks they live on look exactly like that. They are the most cryptic things on the planet.
Yeah, we had a white pyrus at Underground that somebody gave the owner of Underground, and they brought back rocks with that were the same color as the snake, and we kept them in the enclosure with it.
That's awesome.
Coleonex.
We were talking about that a couple episodes back about how like just how long it took for natural selection and stuff to narrow it down so that each population looks the way it does, you know.
That's kind of why I brought that up. I listened to that episode when you guys were talking about like
Crazy.
how they match their surroundings, and they really do. Like the rocks where the white rattlesnakes come from look exactly like that. You can kind of see it in the background of that one on the bottom left if you click out of there.
That thing looks like a demon, man. I love it.
They're awesome.
Consuming angels. That's awesome.
It's just as far as like the whole evolution versus creationism thing, it's like this kind of takes the whole argument and sort of throws it out the window.
It kind of does.
Now that's red, white, and blue, right?
I would say so. I'd say it's probably like it's got a lot of blue in it, but I mean it's orange on the belly, so I'd say yeah.
Moldy bread morph.
I'd say it's more than likely a blue-red cross, and there's no white in it, but the blues and the reds both have some white.
And see, like these are photos like this that really, really get me, because as much as I love the macro stuff and I love looking at the scalation and I like looking at the animal in general, these are the photos. Like for example, Kyle. When Kyle takes his photos of his clobs in the desert, and it's this style where you get the full, ambiance of where the animal is living and what it's doing, and like just the amazing scenery that it calls home. Like that just does it, man.
You got Irvin's attention.
And then here, before we forget, I got to throw this up because God bless Scott for sending me the most awesome pictures. Where can't I find this? Is this going to do it? There it is. Look at that. That's a tiger.
Lord.
That is a patternless tiger.
I wonder if Man, I'm gonna have to send it to you after the stream. But I gotta send you a picture. It looks exactly like that, only it's got a rattle on it. A buddy of mine just went and picked up a very crazy looking patternless Western Diamondback rattlesnake from his sister's front door.
Oh, you sent me the picture of that.
I sent you it. It was crazy, wasn't it? It was like it almost went from yellow to black.
And then like I love this one. Look at this, like the coloration in the face, and just
that almost looks like a Boiga.
Yeah,
that's crazy,
dude. And imagine like if this was a little darker, it would almost honestly. I mean, obviously the head's different, but that yellow with the darkness in between the scalation, like that looks like my water pythons, man. If it was just dark,
that's what, a tiger?
That's a tiger.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a tiger. That's awesome.
Did you just say you had water pythons?
Yeah, I got a pair of Queenslands.
Damn, I actually didn't know that. How are those? I've really wanted water pythons.
Yeah, man, I just from what people are telling me, I'm blessed. They are very, very food aggressive, but they're learning the difference between me and food, and they're chill, man. They're so chill. They just
really
hang out.
Okay, now let me ask you this, because I love Nerodia for what they are, but I don't keep them because I don't keep aquariums. I don't want to deal with aquariums and that kind of stuff. On the water pythons, are they anaconda setup or are they Nerodia setup?
So I kind of got into them on a whim. I've never been a Lyaesis guy, like at all. And I got Billy, look at the white lip, look at the olive, look at the maclots. And I'm like, all right, they're awesome. And my buddy got a bunch of babies from the guy who bred them. And I was like, this is a perfect opportunity. My buddy hooked me up. I got a male, and then I was like, yo, track me down a female. And then I wound up picking the female up at Daytona. They're clutch mates, unfortunately, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. And in my research, they're highly aquatic. And I looked at it in the same way of like, so cottonmouths are the only true semi-aquatic viper, right?
Yeah, right.
Like you have other vipers that go into the water to hunt or to live or whatever, but like
whatever.
Right. But cottonmouths, they need to be marginally aquatic. So with all my stuff, I don't do like paludariums or anything for the cottonmouths. I just have a big basin for them to go into.
Like my Quincy monitors and my arboreal monitors.
Exactly. Yeah. So like your Quince monitor, it may go in there, it may swim around, it may look for food underwater or play around underwater, or it may sleep a little bit underwater, but the majority of its life is out, right? So I figured when I set the water python babies up, I have them in right now they're shoved into 16-quart tubs, which I'm probably gonna have to move them out this month because they're growing like weeds. But half the tub is a smaller Sterilite container for water, and then the other part has there you go, Jeff. And then the back end, the hot side, has cork round, some paper towel rolls, and some rolled up paper. But everyone told me they're not as aquatic as the name instills. And then just 2 days ago, they've been living underwater for like 3 days now. 2 days now, 3 days now.
I don't think I've ever seen a video in the wild where they weren't pulling them out of the water or on the edge of a water line. So I'd imagine they're pretty aquatic.
So I got pictures because everyone was like, oh, they don't stay in the water. They don't stay in the water. And then all of a sudden they're in the water. I'm like, oh my God, they got mites. Oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Oh my God, the temperature's too hot. They're trying to cool down. And I was like, wait a minute. They're called water pythons. You know what I mean? Right. So this is actually, I took this picture like 2 days ago. StreamYard, share screen. So there's the male, and there's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches of water, and he could go completely underneath it, but he's just not choosing to. So there's the male, and then that was at like maybe 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning before I left for work. And then when I got home that night, I find the female like that.
Weird.
And I was like, all right. And like I checked them, like they don't have mites. They look
probably
fine.
waiting for food.
honestly, I think they're going in a shed maybe.
Or maybe they go into the water, like Justin said, like when they're hungry because they're used to eating in the water. But
Yeah.
then the entire rest of the week or whatever time that they're not hungry or breaking down that food, they're just sitting outside.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sorry, but like they're so derpy cute.
Dude, they're so cool. They're like miniature olive pythons that live in the water.
And these pictures are horrible because, like, yes, this dorsal coloration is correct, but like this female, her belly is legit yellow rat snake yellow, and then
I've seen it. It's
the
true.
male belly is like a peach color.
Really?
Yeah. And I was so enamored. Oh, there's my Brettles female with a giant meal in her. I was so enamored. I was like, I had to take a picture because now this was yesterday. So they both have just been chilling in there for 2 or 3 days now.
Now they only get what, 6 feet or so?
Yeah, from what I gather, the average is about 6 or 7, and then the max is like 10 or 11.
Wow, that's big.
I know with my luck, they'll probably end up being 12. But here's the female where you can kind of get a better idea. Again, these are cell phone pictures, so forgive me, peoples.
All of mine.
As soon as Justin comes back, we'll share that.
So you enjoy keeping them though?
Oh yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome, and I'm just really happy that they're tame, because I have so much stuff that I can't play with because it's venomous. That I really wanted to get a species that I could interact with more on like a handheld personal level. So that This is a female, and I mean, again, bad cell phone photos, but you can see how much yellow there is.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be a lot more like cream or white. That's actually really cool.
And then I have some other shots of the male. Whoops. Where's the male? I got so many freaking photos, man.
Ooh. I want to get into anacondas as well. I actually have a friend out here who has a litter of greens that are being born end of this month, beginning of next month. So hopefully I'll get a green anaconda.
The gestation period on those things is outrageous.
Dude, it's been 9 months.
Oof.
Sounds about right.
That's rough. So there's the male, and this picture is good because you could totally see that cream belly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he's very peach.
Yeah.
Dude, I want some. Those are cool.
Just got great everything. Great personality. Great eaters. They're awesome. Jeff says to pull one out. Should I pull one out?
Hey, you go grab one of those. I've got 15% battery left, unfortunately, because I decided to use my phone for this episode. But while you go pull one of those, I'll go pull one snake that I wanted to talk to you guys about, since we were on the topic of old world rat snakes earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Justin, entertain.
Okay.
The harmonicas.
I need to get some bugs to feed these Turkicus, and so I'm looking, because there's almost always some little roach or something running around in here. And tonight there's not. Miguel, he has I don't know, one of his blues is like super chill. But I think maybe I think he has a pair of them, and I think one of them's really mellow and the other one's not. But I could be wrong. He could just have the one. Not sure. But this might going to be my little bug catcher. Cigar tubes, man. I use them for everything. I use them for probing snakes, like small ones. Tube them, probe them, let them go. Catching bugs. Shipping frogs. Drill a little hole in the lid for air. Zing. Yeah. So Miguel asked what the temperament of your Blue Beauty is like, because his is an asshole. And I know you have that mellow one, and then do you have another one, or is that the only one you have?
This is the only one right now.
Okay.
Here, let me tell you. So I've got a male that hopefully will be coming soon, but I've had 3 males.
Mm-hmm.
And being completely honest, my female, sweetest thing ever, never had an issue with her. Like, she's a great snake. However, every male I have ever had pees on me, poops all over me. It wants to bite the shit out of me every time I go to interact. Like, the males are just so much more temperamental than any female that I've ever interacted with. So I don't know if there is a thing there, but I mean, the beauties are really good. It seems like, though, you want to get them young, get them really little.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you raise them up, they're okay. Put it this way: old world rat snakes. If you're familiar with like any of the pitaya stuff, so keeled rats, oriental rat snakes, Gonyosoma stuff too, like red-tailed green rats, the Janseni, radiated rat snakes, all that old world stuff is really defensive if it's imported or you get it older, even a little bit older. But if you get it captive or you get it imported young, they're so smart that they truly like watch your actions, like a Drymarchon, indigos, blacktails, yellowtails, and you do definitely gain like a bit of a respect with them.
I feel
I don't know. The
empty-handed.
temperament of mine have always been pretty good.
Yeah, because you always brag about that one.
It's like she wants to stack up on you, and even still, like it's all bluff, you know.
So I realized look at this butt. There is a massive turd just ready to come out of that butt.
You walked out and you held it up, and I saw the first thing you were showing was that poop.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good. Poops are good.
I mean, you can see the belly.
Insane. That's the female you said?
Yeah, this is the female.
Okay, so that's the yellow one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Let's do that.
Man, I want some of those. Those are too cool.
And dude, this thing, I'm pretty sure this was born in either May or June.
Wow. That's a big baby.
Yeah. So
they kind of give birth to like the same, damn near close to the same size as like olive babies.
Yeah,
like
from what I gather. And
babies.
And I don't know if maybe the female just ate more, but she's way bigger than the male. It almost made me feel like she was maybe like a yearling and he was not. But from what I gather, the breeder only had 1 clutch this year, so I have no idea.
Oh, weird. And yeah, that's right. You said those are captive bred, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and from what else, other people were telling me too is that the Queensland and most of like the fog dam stuff that they have in Europe, like in London and the Netherlands and stuff, they're way more chill than the New Guinea stuff. Like everyone who says about New Guineas, they all talk about how they're basically giant white lips. Oh, there goes the turd. Oh God!
You reap what you sow.
Well done.
I mean, you kind of should have known that was going to happen. Like if I saw a snake like that, I'm like, I know as soon as I pull you out, you're ejecting. It's happening.
Well, now I don't have to clean the cage.
This goes.
All right, I'll be right back.
You need a diaper or something for it?
It is literally everywhere.
My snakes are inside. I just have my lowly group of Turkicus geckos down here that I need to water because the pothos needs water.
Hey, actually, question for you, Justin. Do your Janseni have like liquid poop, or do they have like solid poops?
You know, when I first got them, it was very not solid.
Okay.
But the handful of I don't know if that's just a matter of like my feeders or
do you feed rats or like rodents. You feed rodents?
Going out again.
Can you hear me?
Uh,
Let me see.
Doop.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think we're good.
Yeah, I feed them rodents.
Okay. That might have something to do with it. I mean, mine are all on, like I said, birds, which happen to be like just.
Yeah, I've heard overall it's a lot runnier.
Dude, this girl, like, they are. If I can say one thing, and I'm sorry that I forgot the name of who commented about the Blue Beauties, but I'm sure you can.
It was Miguel.
Miguel, they are very, very big poops. So like, they do still somehow poop often. They're not like a solid. They're like a giant. You've seen Jurassic Park. Everyone on this has probably seen Jurassic Park. Like, rather you were watching the third one or the first one, like there's always something buried in poop that they have to dig out.
Mm-hmm.
And those like big steamy heaping, like just piles of what look like half liquid, half solidity is exactly like, dude, that is these things twice a week. It is, if there's one downside to like indigos or the beauties, it is just that they poop and it's brutal constantly.
Yeah, I mean, all my Bairds, the corns, the cyanea, I'm like, oh my god. That's why I guess maybe like chondros sort of skew your view on that stuff, because it's, especially with the adults, it's like a quarterly event.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, the chondros are easy. And they have like, so with any of the Morelia stuff, kind of, the carpets too. They use like every little bit of that food that you give them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like these tight little small poops.
Yeah.
And then they double in size. Whereas these things, like, they double in size, but they expel so much still that I think that it's just like they just grow fast.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that would be tied to just they're probably naturally eating a lot more than most chondros and carpets are in a year. You know, those guys are probably, since they're much more opportunistic, they're probably eating everything. You know, especially the boiga. You know, being sort of the nest raiders, the ninjas of the trees, and
yeah,
you know,
the
it makes sense.
Raid is the best word, because that's exactly what they are. They just raid nests.
Yeah, and all those colubrids, I mean, you know, high metabolism. So, I mean, they're going to be eaten more often just out of necessity, just to keep the engine running. And like chondros and brettles, which kind of come to mind. I mean, I legitimately, those things are probably only eaten 6 months out of the year, realistically, in the wild at least. So,
right.
You know, they're built to run on a lot less. I mean, all snakes are, but chondros in particular.
Wild chondros. It's so funny that Phil is wearing that carpet shirt.
Yeah.
Dude, because it was this cast, I almost wore the exact same shirt tonight. And as great as it would have been to be matching, I'm so glad that I did it.
You wore better.
No, but yeah, you see them, like, you see in the wild photos and stuff, like Nick Mutton posts a lot of that stuff. And dude, they'll be eating like big ass birds or like bats, like giant fruit bats. And they're these huge meals, but it's like that one meal is probably lasting them a month and a half.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's a short term.
Right.
Probably much more, you know, longer than that, actually.
Right. Comparatively to captivity, you know, just trying to double or quadruple the amount we feed them in captivity. Yeah, they eat so much less.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually, some of my juvies, I need to cut them back on food just because they're starting to get kind of chunky. And like my adults, if I can't remember the last time I fed them, then they're probably due to eat.
Right.
You know, I think chondros overall, you know, unless they're neonates, they're pretty rapidly overfed. And because they're so sedentary compared to colubrids and stuff, getting them to lose weight is pretty much impossible. You know, outside of just for a year straight.
Well, and it almost seems like people either underfeed chondros because they're too afraid to overfeed them, or they overfeed them because they're too afraid to underfeed them.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think underfeeding is possible.
Right. So like either they end up with normal looking green tree pythons, or more often than not, they end up with like prolapses and crap. But
Is
yeah,
chicken whole group?
my rule of thumb is if they've pooped from the last meal, a full poop, and they're sitting with their head untucked,
Mm-hmm.
then they're ready to eat.
Yeah.
If they're in shed, I never feed them. They don't eat in shed, at least mine don't,
Mm-hmm.
and they eat every time they poop. So if they poop this week and it takes 6 days, then I'll feed them on 7. But if next week it takes 12 days, then I feed them on 13. It's kind of like I feed them when they tell me they're ready versus like all the other animals that I keep, where
Right.
like once a week on the carpets, once a week's fine. And I'll feed them a big meal and it'll still be fine and they'll be ready to go in 5 days. But yeah, with the chondros, we can go 2-3 weeks and they just don't want to eat yet.
Yeah, my adults, depending on if I have any like medium rats on hand or something, like my big female and my adult male, regularly they'd eat once a month, but that's if I have rats. So
that's a good point too. You know, you get so many people that they buy chondros and they're very used to, for example, just because they're so common, like ball python feeding, and it's once a week. It's do 1.5 times the size, the widest part of their body, blah blah blah. And then you get to chondros where they're a python, and people hear python and go, "Oh, I know how to feed a python," and then don't realize that like it's just so different. You go like the same size, if not less than their body, and you feed them when they want to eat it, kind of thing. Versus like you don't want a giant bulge on a snake that doesn't move for a week, because how's it supposed to burn it off or digest it?
Right. Well, I mean, even Vin Rousseau has talked about it on the old Herp Nation radio shows. If anybody's listened to those, they're really worth going back and listening to. I think they're all still up there. But he had Vin Rousseau on. It was Nick Mutton who was hosting at the time, and Vin Rousseau said this, the same thing. He's like, boas, like naturally, they're literally eating 6 meals a year, probably, like realistically.
Right.
And we're feeding these things year round. We get these adult females in a matter of like 3 years. They're not living as long as other animals that are grown slower. Their reproductivity rates go down. Their fertility rates go down. But you come to find, if you take your time and you don't breed a female until she's 6 years, she produced like her career as far as a breeder is much longer. She's producing healthy litters, consistent litters. Like it's so easy to overfeed them. And I mean, that's all snakes. I mean, there are some exceptions like the boiga, young boiga. I'm not going to let those go longer than probably a week without food in them just because they're so small. But then you get to adults and like my male Cyane, he kind of eats whenever he wants to, which is not often. And I remember messaging Nipper and being like, are they all pretty much like this? And he said, yeah. He's like, my males 6 months, they'll go without food, which is crazy because you would think, being such a small, thin snake, that they would, with a higher metabolism too, that they would require more regularly. But I think being males, and the same with chondros, they can probably handle a little more regularly.
On that note, with like breeding stuff too, I mean, you have so many people that think that, and boas, because you use that as example, is such a good one. How many people tell you, don't breed your boa until it's 6-8 feet long or whatever?
How many people can actually wait 6 years for a boa to be able to breed?
And what it is it's like, most of the time it's not a matter of if it's 6 or 8 feet long. It matters if it's 3 or 5
maturity.
Years. Yeah, I mean, here's like a brash, and I'm sorry guys, but I have 6% battery, so I might have to just like escape soon, so that I don't just disappear on you. But a very brash example would be like, people is the easy example we can get, right? Because we're freaking people. It doesn't matter if your kid is 8 years old and 400 pounds, and your other kid is 18 years old and 200 pounds. That doesn't mean that the 400-pound kid's the one that should be going off and getting married and starting a family.
True.
It's still a maturity. You still have to grow into it. It's time-oriented. People don't breed at 12 years old anymore because it's not genetically safe for us, and we're not developed yet. And weight also plays effect on people. The more the more weight or whatever could play effect, or the less weight could affect your organs and stuff and the genetic reproduction. So if there's one thing that kind of bothers me with like breeding and advice that's out there, it's anytime that I hear someone say like, oh, don't breed this until it's 12 feet long. And that's not like my idea on it is like, no, I'm going to breed this at 2.5 years, because in the wild, they have survival instincts and they have reproduction instincts, and they don't have 5 years to play escape before they can try to make babies.
Yeah.
And depending on the snake, that can play too. A chondro is so different. Something that lives on the ground and is more susceptible to predators is going to breed younger more than likely, because it has less time and more potential threat than something that lives way up in a canopy that blends in with its surroundings and nothing hardly ever sees it. Has a little bit more time.
And that's always kind of a sort of a weird, I guess, dichotomy is like in captivity, you probably want to give it some time. You want to wait. But in the wild, I think a lot of species are probably breeding a lot smaller and a lot younger than you would think. That Cyanea female, like compared to your blackheads, I mean, she's a fair bit smaller than those. So, I was kind of concerned at first because I was like, she's pretty young, she's pretty small. But then if you think about it, I mean, it probably isn't uncommon. And I mean, this is just a theory. It's not documented or anything like that. But I think it's probably not uncommon for those to double clutch naturally.
Right.
I think
the Nigroceps triple clutch this year. Her first clutch slugged out, but I mean, this is the third clutch in 8 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
if I'm being completely honest, I have done nothing but cohab them and keep their husbandry proper.
And pretty much everyone I know that's kept Boyga and cohabbed, same thing. Like Terry Burwell, his Cynodon, crank out a clutch all the time. It's almost like it's like keeping freaking crested geckos, man. You just wait. There's another clutch, and I think, like I said, a lot of species I think are breeding younger than we may think, and I mean, it makes sense because from a survival standpoint, they can't wait until they're 5 years old to pair up. But at the same time, you're also not having animals that are breeding annually. You probably have animals that are breeding every other year, every 2 years, maybe every 3 years. So, I mean, it's that whole, like, it's kind of tough to navigate. And I think it's like, I'm of the opinion in captivity, maturity matters way more than anything else. Matters way more than weight, because you can have a smaller animal, like a smaller chondro, for example, that's maybe only 500 grams, but it's also a 6-year-old animal. That's probably going to fare better than a 3-year-old Biak.
Yeah. Or throw this like ingredient into it. The quicker it's grown, the more you affect it biologically or genetically, and you make it less healthy. So you're speed growing a snake that you're making it less healthy to begin with. So by the time you breed it, you've created issues within the genetic structure to carry over to the offspring.
And I'm sure there's things that come into play too. Like older animals are going to have better bone density and things like that. Reproductive wise, they're going to be better suited for that. Rather than a big young animal, you want I'm okay with having a smaller clutch from a smaller female, but an older female.
Yeah, same.
That's why I was so surprised when I got 8 eggs from that Cyanea, because I was like, I'm going to get like 4. They'll probably be duds.
Yeah.
She freaking knocked it out of the park, man.
Dude, I'm excited for you on that one. That's big news. And I'm excited that I have that other pair of unrelated Cyanea coming in from Dan, because 2 years down the road, we'll play some stuff with some Nigroceps or Cynodon if you want in the meantime.
Yeah.
But I'll always be looking for new Cyanea blood and stuff, so I'm excited for you on that.
And Vic earlier asked what bedding I prefer to use with colubrids. I use either Aspen or Carefresh.
Oh, like kind of like guinea pig, hamster bedding? That's what the Carefresh is, right?
I think Justin froze.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's using the the Carefresh
It's
hand
like ferret bedding or something, right? Like a rodent bedding.
Yeah. Because
Like
it's basically compressed. It's pellets of compressed paper. So when they get wet, they expand and they kind of poof out in like a cotton ball kind of thing.
Yep.
So I use aspen because I think it's better for the animal to burrow in terms of like rat snakes and stuff wanting to get underneath it, or smaller terrestrial stuff like hognose wanting to get underneath it. But you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be more Johnny on the spot with the maintenance, because aspen molds out real quick, and aspen always gets thrown into the water dish, and now you have a soggy, moldy mess that you have to deal with. So I think as long as you, and me personally, as long as I keep up with the aspen, I prefer the aspen. But like some of the colubrids, man, I just keep them on paper, just because it's like cobras, they're poop machines.
Dude, that's my thing. If anyone asked me, I would say New World colubrid, aspen, drier bedding. Old World colubrid. I like to blend like jungle mix to some repti bark or some cypress mulch. I know you love jungle mix. Yeah, it is a phenomenal product. It's a very good like ABG plant soil blend.
Yep.
It holds your humidity very well. I loved that you described like kind of how it sinks down through layers and takes a little time.
Yeah.
It can be really good for the old world stuff. If you have any stuff from like Asia, super, super good to do like a little blend of that. But yeah, paper towel. If you have stuff that's poop machines, you're wasting money if you're not using paper towel. I mean, it's just more effective. The snake doesn't need the bedding if the water's in there. If they can soak in their dish for the shed, or you want to give them a soak. Yeah, paper towel. Everything I have is pretty much on paper towel. It's cost effective and it works well, unless it needs to be on substrate.
Oh yeah, I agree. And before they had jungle mix, almost all the cobras, the true cobras, I kept them on. I was buying their big spools. They're like 3 foot tall spools of newspaper. That is what they use to print newspaper on, right? And I would buy those spools. It was like $30 for an entire spool, and that spool would last me well over a year or two.
Yeah.
And I would just pull off sheets and cut it, and I just have a drywall knife and just lay it in there, cut it to the shape of the enclosure, the vision cage or whatever. And then at the same time, you can take that newspaper and I can crunkle it up into like a big ball and just throw it in the corner. Now I have something that they can go through or go into or whatever. And if they poop on it or it goes in the water dish, who cares? It's newspaper. But I don't have to worry about the ink or the toxins or whatever they actually put on, like, the Sunday Circular, because God only knows what's printed on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think paper works really well. But for the North American stuff, or just New World stuff, aspen.
Yeah, well, I had to put the Bairds on it because they would freaking flip the water bowl if I didn't give them some sort of loose substrate to dig around in, and I got so tired of it. And as soon as I switched them over to particulate substrate like aspen or Carefresh, the flipping of the water bowl stopped for the most part.
Oh, and before you cut out, we were talking about the Carefresh. So the Carefresh is like the stuff they have for rodents, where it's like a pellet. It's a compressed paper.
It's just like it's like that. If those pellets were expanded.
It's the stuff that they use for like hedgehog bedding and stuff, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you can get it at Walmart. Like even some of the grocery stores carry it.
Yeah.
It's super absorbent.
As grim as it is for me to have to say, because this has been a lot of fun, I have 1% battery, and I would hate to just like disappear on you.
All right.
Yeah, it's bedtime anyways.
Yeah, I think take off. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. We had a lot of fun.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'd more than love to come back on another time if you guys.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Me, so thank you very much.
Dude, you're our kind of people.
We like our rotating cast.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to be on these again soon, guys.
Well, Justin, you have any other closing remarks?
I don't. Other than that, CenturyLink is the Antichrist. My internet keeps going in and out. Puget Sound Pythons.
Oh yeah, Puget Sound Pythons.
Yeah, thanks for sponsoring my favorite podcast.
Hey,
there it is. And for those of you who are curious, Laius fuscus poo smells like poo.
Like poo?
Shocker.
Like poo. Yeah. Nothing special. Just
good stuff.
Just gross. Just
right. My internet's gonna go out again, so we'll end it before it does.
thanks for listening, guys. Good night.
See y'all later.
Bye.